Hi, my name is Nigel, and I'm a grade 11 student at Oak Bay High School in Victoria, British Columbia. In our English class, we have done many units that involve reading and learning literature. One of our first units was we read the book The Lord of the Flies. Then I went on to an independent novel study where I read The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. And then as a class, we went to the local elementary school and read with some students in grade 2s and 3s and then wrote a short story with them. Currently, we are doing a unit on William Shakespeare, and we're learning about his play, Macbeth. Shakespeare was a man who wrote many plays during the late 1500s and early 1600s. He wrote plays until 3 years before his death, which was in 1616. Some of his most known plays are A Midsummer's Night Dream, Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, and Julius Caesar. All of Shakespeare's plays were performed in the Globe Theatre in London and were performed mid-afternoon. The Globe Theatre was a big theatre with a stage in the middle and seats going around. They had a system so everyone can see Shakespeare's plays. So the poorest people, they were called earthlings. So they'd sit on the ground in the mud. And then if you paid a little more than the earthlings, you were called a groundling. You were still on the ground, but you got a cushion to sit on so you can see over the earthlings' heads. Shakespeare wrote lots of plays, so he had to have a way of telling the public which kind of play would be performed that week. So Shakespeare had a system of flags he used to represent the different kind of plays. A white flag meant it was going to be a comedy, and then when a black flag was raised, it meant the play was going to be a tragedy. And then when there was a red flag, it meant it was going to be a political play. Shakespeare's vocabulary was thought to be 2 times more than the average university student today. And one way Shakespeare's plays got out was because his plays were written around the same time the printing press was invented, so his work was able to be published and given out. So Shakespeare wrote lots of amazing plays and lots of amazing sonnets, so that's why his work is timeless, and that's why we still study it today. In the play Macbeth gets 2 prophecies from 3 witches. The first one saying he would become Thane of Cawdor, and the second one saying he'd become the king. When the first prophecy becomes true, and he is granted the title of Thane of Cawdor, he believes he will become king. But when King Duncan declares that Malcolm, his son, will become king next, it drives Macbeth to do some pretty radical stuff. So for this project, we had to pick an important passage from the play that revolved around a theme. I chose when Macbeth goes back to the witches for more prophecies in Act 4 and Scene 1. I thought this revolved around the theme of ambition. So Macbeth goes to the witch's house, and he gets 3 more prophecies. The first one said, Macbeth, Macbeth, Macbeth. Beware Macduff. Beware the Thane of Fife. Dismiss me enough. And the second one said, Be bloody, bold, and resolute. Laugh to scorn the power of man. For none of woman born shall harm Macbeth. And the final prophecy was, Be brave like a lion and proud. Don't even worry about who hates you, who resents you, and who conspires against you. Macbeth will never be defeated until Birnam Wood marches to fight you at Duquesne Hill. The prophecies acted like warnings in disguise to give Macbeth a false hope of safety when really he was in the most danger of all. This passage links to the theme of ambition because Macbeth had already had everything he wanted. He was king and had power. That wasn't good enough for him. Macbeth needed to know that he would keep the throne and he was safe. This passage also shows the change in Macbeth's character that he has gone through. At first, he felt guilty about murdering Duncan, but now he doesn't care who he kills as long as he has power and he can keep it. So, I thought this passage was pretty important because it showed us the extent of Macbeth's ambition. It showed him that he was so ambitious for power that he got paranoid. So the whole play revolves around Macbeth's ambition. This is a major key that shows it. Thank you for listening to my presentation.